Do you find yourself struggling to nail that perfect take when recording into Cubase with your MIDI device? Hi there, it's Simon from Composing Academy, and in this video I'll be going through the basics of the main MIDI editor in Cubase, the Key Editor. I'll show you how you can use it to not only tweak your MIDI recordings, but also draw in notes from scratch using nothing but your mouse. As always, if you get value from this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more music theory and composing tips and tricks. Okay, so here we are in Cubase. Aside from this main arrange page, the Key Editor is probably where you'll spend most of your time when working with MIDI data. The Key Editor can be accessed by double-clicking a MIDI region like so. And by default, Cubase will open up the Key Editor in this lower zone. You can also change the setting so that it opens up in a new window, and we do that by going to Edit, and then Preferences, clicking on Editors, and then the top field here, you can see double-click Open to Editor in a new window. Okay, so the first thing you notice when we have the Key Editor open is that notes are represented by these rectangles. A short rectangle is a short MIDI note, and a long one is of course a longer note. Along the left-hand side we have the piano, and this displays all of the pitches. Here you can see the first note is a middle C, and it lasts for a whole bar. I like to see the note names in these rectangles. If you can't see them on yours, just click this plus sign down here on the right-hand side, and it will make the notes larger. So let's start by drawing some simple notes in. To do this, we want to select the pencil tool up in the toolbar here. You can also press 8 on the top row of numbers on your keyboard as well. So let's draw in 4 notes starting on middle C. When drawing notes in, you'll find it easier to draw notes which align to Cubase's grid if the snap button at the top here is turned on. Pressing J on your keyboard will also toggle the button on and off. So click with your mouse at the beginning of where you want the note to start, and then drag to the left and then release. Let's do the same for D, E and F. So each of these MIDI notes can now be easily edited. First, make sure the selector tool is highlighted in the toolbar here. You can also press 1 on your computer keyboard. So to move a note around, click a note so it's selected, and then you can literally move it wherever we want to. We can move it side to side, or up and down in pitch. To change the pitch of a note, we can also use the up and down arrow keys on our keyboard, like so. We can also change the length of each note by hovering our mouse on the end of each note here, and then when these 2 little arrows appear, we can click and drag either way. Multiple notes can also be changed by first selecting all of them. Make sure that your selector tool is selected in the top toolbar here, and then you can click and drag to select multiple notes. These notes can all then be edited in the same fashion as before, so we can change pitch and change the lengths of each note. So if we look down towards the bottom of the screen, you can see for each horizontal note, we have a corresponding vertical bar. This bar is representing each note's velocity. Velocity refers to how hard a note is played. Generally, like a piano, the harder or higher the velocity, the louder the sound is. We can change each note's velocity by making sure our pencil tool is selected, and then clicking up higher or lower to change the sound. Let's hear the difference in notes as we play this passage. When someone plays a musical instrument, each note they play will be subtly different in volume. It will be virtually impossible to play each and every note exactly the same. Because of this, we want to try to keep our velocities varied in small amounts in order to prevent our MIDI notes sounding too robotic. Quantizing is a technique used to perfect rhythmic timing of notes. It can be a fast way to correct timing mistakes you have made when playing notes in with a MIDI device. When writing music in software such as Cubase, we often want MIDI notes to be aligned with the grid. This makes it easier when it comes to adding other instruments to your piece, in order to have all of the instruments in time with each other. When we quantize MIDI notes, Cubase will shift these notes so they snap to the nearest grid line. Let me demonstrate this by drawing in some new notes. If you look closely, you can see that these notes are not perfectly lined up with the grid in Cubase. If I highlight these notes and press Q though, watch what happens. They all move to the closest grid line. To successfully quantize MIDI notes, we have to tell Cubase what our smallest rhythmic division is. For example, if our piece only has crotchets or quarter notes, then we would select 1/4 up here. If we had faster semiquavers, or 16th notes, we would have to set this to 1/16. As well as velocities, we can also show various additional lanes to control other aspects of our MIDI notes. Perhaps the most useful is to change the volume of a long sustain note. So let me close this piano part, and I'm going to draw in a new violin line. So here we have a long sustained violin sound. Let's add some musical expression to the sound by drawing in some volume data. First, let's click the plus button down here to add a new controller lane. And then we'll click on the velocity label on the bottom here, and then click expression. So with the pencil tool selected up here, we can now draw in some expression data, which will change the volume. You'll notice I have the snap turned off, and that means that I can have greater control of the sound when drawing in these volume curves. So let's take a listen. You can hear there that our sound sneaks in and crescendos and then gradually dies out. Finally, as well as drawing in individual notes, Cubase has a handy function which lets you draw in whole chords all at once. With your pencil tool selected, click on the left-hand side here under Chord Editing. And we have these options for drawing in chords. If you click the arrow next to major here, and then click on a starting note, you'll see that it draws in a C major chord. And of course we can do that again by starting on another note and drawing in, say, a D major chord. Have a go at doing the same for minor chords and try to come up with a short chord progression. As you can see, there is so much that Cubase can do when it comes to editing MIDI notes and data, and has arguably some of the best MIDI editing functions out of any music production software. If you have found this video useful, be sure to check out my Begin Composing in 5 Easy Steps ebook, a link of which is in the description below. Be sure to also hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more music theory and composing tips and tricks.